going to find out.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to bring it back a little bit to the whole holistic and natural healing for pets. And I'm sure that lots of your clients who first meet you goes, "How come I've never heard about this?" Or "How come nobody's told me?" Because that is usually the question when it's for humans as well. They
Yeah.
go, "What? My doctors tell me this, this, and this. How come this was not presented to me?" So how do you answer that question usually?
That's an easy answer. Big pharma and big pet food give all the money to veterinary education and continuing education. And so, when you only hear one narrative, so, new veterinarians come out of school and they're like, make your own dog food, human grade dog food. Why would I want to do that? No, there's these three big pet food companies. They have nutritionists on staff. We should only use their food. It's ultra processed and made with horrible ingredients, but they're not told that. They're told this, this is the only one that's complete and balanced and will support the pet's lifestyle. No. And they get kind of offended if you question them and say, well, I read this about, making my own food, or I read this about there's some really bad ingredients in there. And you get a lot of pushback because they've only heard one side. So there's about 60,000 veterinarians in the US. Unfortunately, 25% of veterinary hospitals, clinics are owned by corporate entities now, and the biggest one is Mars, which is the candy company. They also sell $33 billion worth of pet food every year. So, if you are working for a corporation that's owned by a company that makes pet food, guess which pet food you're going to recommend and sell. And then, we have big pharma who basically funds FDA. And so they can get a lot of things through pretty quickly without as much research into side effects. And basically, what happens is like new drug comes on the market, something like Apoquel for allergies or Librela for arthritis, and the representative from the company comes in and says, "Oh, we've got this new thing. It is awesome. Yeah, we haven't seen side effects. It's going to be great. No problem." And then who are the guinea pigs? My patients. So I start using the drug and my patients start having really bad side effects. And I go, well, wait a minute. They told me there weren't any. They didn't see any. Well, that's because they tested it on a couple hundred animals. Now it's out in the real world and it's being tested on hundreds of thousands of animals. And now we get to see what the side effects are. And to get something then have warnings on it or be pulled off the market is almost impossible. Almost impossible. Like I had a discussion with FDA a few years ago about the chemical pesticides that we are feeding our pets for flea and tick prevention. And we did a survey, and two-thirds of the animals that had been treated, of the people that answered our survey, which was thousands of people, two-thirds of the animals had side effects. And FDA had hundreds of thousands of reports of side effects. And so in our phone call with them, we said, hey, like, how many do you need? How many reports do you need? Because we know that only about 1% of side effects are actually reported. How many do you need to pull this off the market? And they said, don't really know, but this isn't near enough. I'm like, wow, hundreds of thousands isn't near enough?
Mhm.
Like, this is pretty scary.
Right.
So, until you start really kind of pulling back the curtain and looking back there, you don't know. And so, like at our holistic veterinary conference every year, we get about 300 people. So 300 out of the 60,000. There's
Right.
just so few that are pulling back the curtain and actually looking and being open minded and saying, something else might work.
So how,
Um,
so how does one compete against that? Like, there's such a big machine out there that's churning out all this stuff, and money's involved, and people are kind of sponsoring and whatnot. And then here's you and other companies like you trying to promote natural, healthy, all this stuff. How do you compete against that big machine?
you just keep putting the word out there, and we are seeing shifts, like big shifts. Um, like there's more and more pet food companies, small pet food companies coming online that are making human grade, gently cooked, raw, species appropriate, high meat diets, like what our pets are meant to eat. So in the past, I would say 10 to 15 years, we are seeing more and more of these holistic companies, holistic pet food companies. And it's not being driven by the top. It's not being driven by the veterinarians. It's being driven by the pet owners who are saying, and I will say that the Make America Healthy Again movement, people are opening their eyes and going, oh, we shouldn't eat ultra processed food? Huh. My dog and cat are eating ultra processed food. Maybe that's not a good idea for them either. So, we're starting to get, and people like me, we end up with like the most popular holistic veterinarian. I think she's got like 3 or 4 million followers. I have about a 500,000. I mean, we're making inroads, and there are more of us that are being more vocal. I think
Right.
that the holistic veterinarians are trying to be more vocal. Like my outreach that I've set, I'm traveling all over the world speaking this year. But next year, my focus, I really want to bring along veterinary students and young veterinarians and get them to just open their mind and say, oh, because, the problem is everybody's like, well, where's your double blinded studies? And I'm like, you know what? I don't really need double blinded studies because I was in practice for 36 years and 25 of that was in holistic medicine. And what I saw, the miracles that I saw in practice, wouldn't you want that miracle? Like my dogs are living into their late teens. Doesn't everybody want that? I get really sad when somebody posts online, oh, I just lost my dog. But he had a good long life. He lived to 11. And I'm like, he had a half a life. That's so we're vocal because we care. And like I had a dog who was diagnosed at 15 with bladder cancer. And so I made a holistic protocol for him. There was really no decent traditional protocol and not one that I would have used. So I made a protocol for him and he died at 17, not related to his cancer. Still had the cancer. And so why wouldn't we want that?
How is success like online shopping?
Ooh, uh, you get to choose what you want. Like you can choose to be successful and you can choose what you want to buy online. And I'm a big online shopper.
Nicely done.
We
So that's how
we
success is
don't
like.
live near any big shopping area, so it's easier to just have it show up on my doorstep.
I love that because yeah, if you want to be successful, you have to choose it. If you don't
Yep.
choose it, you're not going to get it. So nicely done. That's how success is like online shopping.